And we are live. Welcome to Raven's Heart. You know, with the amount of misinformation that's out there, are you feeling a little bit confused? Well, you know what? You're not alone. There's a lot of confusion in the world today, and you're in the right place if you're feeling confused because we're going to talk about truth with a band known as Divine Martyr in just a few moments.
Get Revelation Rockfest 2023 update.
And welcome back to Raven's Heart. Yes, go ahead and get your tickets right now for Get Revelation Rockfest 2023. If you're watching us on Facebook, go ahead down in the description. The link's there. The same thing on YouTube. Go ahead and go drill down and you'll find the link for your Rockfest tickets. Also, some good Lithos Cry and Raven's Heart merch. Yes, we have Raven's Heart t-shirts and everything. And look, I've got everybody here from Divine Martyr, and we've got comments rolling in already. Hey, there's Jason, Olivia, and Woody. Hey, it's so good to have you guys back. Yes, Happy New Year.
Yeah, you as well.
Thank you for having us.
Absolutely. It's a pleasure to have you guys back. You are back by popular demand. And here we've got comments that are rolling in already. We've got Jeffrey. He says, I absolutely love the song Truth, which we're going to talk about and play in just a moment.
Thank you.
And I'm looking forward to this program. We also have the Crater Good. Hey, how's it going? And we've got Mark joining us too. Hey, look at that. Mark's coming in. Hey. And Crater Good, good to have you back with us. Man, we've got the whole Lithos Cry Raven's Heart family here tonight. We got Will, he's weighing in. Evening, brother man. Will, thank you for joining us. And we got Shonda. She says, hi. Wow.
Hi.
This is awesome. Thank you for joining the live stream tonight. And hey, you know what? I have to do this. We were just talking about how to grow on YouTube. I have to do this here. There we go. If you're watching on YouTube, go ahead and hit that subscribe button and that bell. And you know what that does? That just doesn't help yours truly, your favorite Raven's Heart host out. It helps these bands out because people can find these videos and learn about awesome bands. It's starting to sound like a PBS telethon. About these awesome bands such as Divine Martyr. And you guys, after we had our last interview, you released a brand new video and a track. Can you tell us the name of this track? And we're going to go ahead and play it.
Anybody?
Go, Olivia.
Well, who wants to take it?
Truth.
The track is called Truth. And after we watch this video and listen to this track, we are going to go ahead and we're going to take the deep dive into this video. And we're going to talk about truth tonight.
It was all a lie.
That is unreal. Wow. We've got comments coming in. I got to put this up. Will says that rocks. He adds on to it. You don't see many rock drummers holding the sticks in the traditional rocker way.
I've been waiting for that. I've been waiting for someone to make that comment because he always drums like that. He's like the only guy I know that does the traditional. Pulls it off.
Well, Will picked up on it. That song is absolutely amazing. I think I gave you guys one of these for the song that we featured back in December. I have to do this. You get Amy's paw of approval for that. So that's two paws of approval in your bank.
Love it.
Excellent. The Crater Good. He loves the song. 2 thumbs up and a smiley face with the sunglasses. You know, not only did I bring you back because of popular demand, I got a lot of good feedback on your band from the last edition that we did back in December. But this is a very timely song. And Olivia, you wrote the lyrics to this song. What is the message behind this? And, you know, what compelled you to write it?
So without going into like crazy detail, but I know everyone has kind of gotten to that, you know, a low spot or a point where they're like crying out to God. So after, you know, thinking of one of those kind of scenarios in my life, this is kind of like almost like a fight song. It's a reminder that spiritual warfare is real and we need to be guarded and like ready against, you know, anything that can come our way. Part of the lyrics, I say, I pray against temptation and I pray for your protection. So that's just kind of like my motto throughout life as a Christian, and enduring spiritual warfare. Another thing is like some temptation can be very obvious, but I know a lot of people have, and myself have experienced things that seem almost like things we've been praying for, or, oh, this is the perfect opportunity, or this is exactly what I've wanted. And over time, I've, you know, found that some of those things can just be distractions from the devil. And nothing else. So this is kind of like a reminder to myself to just like stay strong, stay focused, always be like praying and kind of like having my guard up against the spiritual warfare that is so very real.
Is that why you say in the song, the devil knows my weakness? Is that what you're referring to in that?
Yes.
He knows. Okay. Wow. You know, and I know I've got some Camelot fans from Divine Martyr. I hear some March of Mephisto. Yeah, okay, I knew it. I knew it. Yes, yes. You know, the religious me, when I first saw that, I freaked out. But then I watched it again, and I was like, wait a minute. I now understand how seducing spirits work. It really gave me some insight into that. And you guys kind of provide the light, the answer to what's not resolved in March of Mephisto and with that video. And, you know, it's so important because right now the world is just filled with lies. I mean, they're just being spewed out all over the place every second. Yeah. A lot of people don't realize this, but the average person, okay, get this. Here's your bang for the buck for tonight. For those that are just tuning in, lies about 100 times a day. That's just the average person. Truth is not something that just kind of resounds in us. It's just something that we do. And I'm not talking about, you know, big fibs. But all the time, I'm talking about exaggerations, social lies, things like that. That's all things that our society has cultured us to do. And in this world of lies, it's just a giant spider web of them spun by the father of lies. How can we distinguish truth from a lie?
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of that depends on your worldview filter, right? I mean, like you and I know objective truth is scripture. So, you know, anything that we encounter, we can test it against that. But I mean, a lot of the world doesn't have that tool at their disposal, right? They're going based on their own experience, their own knowledge, and that's always going to fail them, you know. But if we run it through the filter of scripture, then that's going to illuminate the lies, and that's going to give us, you know, discernment that we wouldn't have otherwise. So.
That's why it's so important for believers to be in the Word. What Olivia was just saying about being in prayer and knowing the difference between what looks good and you know, that's what happened in Eden, you know, when the serpent was there. Hey, you know, He told you there's always some truth in a lie. That's what makes a lie so easy to bite on. Is there's always some truth in it.
Exactly.
Will's playing around with us tonight. He's like, I don't lie.
That might be his 200th for the day. We don't
Yeah.
know.
Yeah, that could be the 200th.
I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. That's his mission statement. He doesn't want to lie. And great. Continue on that path. So.
Jeffrey says, thanks, William, for your comment. I enjoy watching Mark play and didn't realize what the distinction was. Thanks for enlightening me, William. So, William, thank you for contributing to tonight's live stream and bringing some humor and levity in. We're talking about a really heavy topic. We're talking about lies. And, with everything that's out there, everything that's being spewed every second, every lie, every falsehood, how does this impact somebody's ability to perceive their true selves? Oh, here we go into the deep dive.
So I think it's too easy to get wrapped up in the world that we live in and all the information that's being sent our way, and it's too easy to. And so Satan knows that. He knows that he can use YouTube, he can use social media. Back in the I'm gonna date myself. Back in the early '90s, when I graduated high school.
Oh,
we
man.
didn't have. Yeah, okay. We didn't have any really cell phone. I mean, we had cell phones, but remember the old bag phones?
Yes.
Remember when they had to actually install it in your car?
Yes.
And then
Wow.
Sorry, and so they had the antenna on top. You thought you were so cool with the antenna. Anyway,
Those cost thousands of dollars too.
Yep.
those were like $1,000 for a bag phone, and then it was like 25 cents a minute anyway. So I think that's just too much information coming down the pipe, and
Overwhelming.
he
Yeah.
can use that. Yeah, he knows he can overwhelm people, and then what happens is people get so overwhelmed they don't even want to read the Bible. Like you work an 8-hour job, and then you can't help but look at Facebook, and then you can't help but look at YouTube. You get a guy like me, my TV's YouTube, so 9 o'clock at night to midnight, I'm watching conspiracy UFO,
Yeah. Man.
Bigfoot, Yellowstone is actually the haven for aliens kind of videos. So
You and I watch a lot of the same things, but really though, when you watch those before you go to sleep, you can have some really wild dreams at night.
I bet.
If you fall asleep watching those things, it gets a little bit weird.
Yeah, you should just take Ambien. You don't have to worry about it. Just put yourself to sleep. I'll fight off the devil.
Don't have to worry about it then. Yeah, this is really interesting. Something to think about. In 1517, when Martin Luther nailed the 95 Theses to the cathedral door in Wittenberg, there was a lack of information. And that's why people were not coming to the truth of the gospel. Information was being hidden, and now we're at the opposite end of the spectrum where there's just so much information.
Right.
And it's like trying to find the truth is like trying to find a needle in the haystack. And, in talking about social media, and I know that we're on social media and there's a reason why we do that. And there's a good use for social media, but do any of you guys ever feel exhausted from social media or your phone? And you're just I just don't want to see this.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I've had time, months, years at a time where I'll just step away from it. And I mean, I say it all the time. If it wasn't for band stuff or some of the other things that I'm involved in, I would probably step away entirely. But it's such an outlet to be able to kind of do that stuff and connect with people and network that it's, it kind of just sucks you back in. So it's a double-edged sword. For sure.
I've deleted my account 5 times now.
Yeah,
In the past 60
exactly
days.
right.
In the past 30 days, 4 times.
Yeah, we were just talking about the Protestant Reformation just a few moments ago when there was a lack of information. Now we've got all this information. How do you think that all of this misinformation out there affects somebody's ability to receive the gospel? What impact does that have on bringing somebody to the truth of salvation through Jesus?
Don't everybody feel this at once. I could jump on this. That's okay.
No, I mean, I'm throwing
That's
out
fine.
out tough questions tonight. And if any of our
You
viewers
are.
have any comments, go ahead and weigh in as well. We're taking comments tonight.
Absolutely.
I think what we were talking about 4 minutes ago, is we're talking about if you are standardizing. I kind of give it away the division of engineering I work in, but if you have to standardize to a calibration standard, if you have a calibration standard, that's what you need to reference, even if you have drift and systematic or whatever variation on the side. So that's how you check. I mean, that's where I start and I check. And also that's the calibration standard, but you take it a step further. What's your spiritual diet? How much it's like when you're personally training. When I go through personally training, all right, how many, I'm going to do my macro count. Okay. How much sugar have I taken in? Well, I've eaten a box of ho-hos and donuts and everything else. It's not going to go so well. And the idea is if I'm taking in, anything on TV, or I'm taking in a lot of the stuff of the world, and I'm not referencing my calibration standard, I'm going to have kind of a pull, whatever direction my hand, I said but you get the picture. You're going to start pulling in the direction of what you're being influenced by.
Right. Yeah.
Absolutely.
I mean, the gospel's about love at the end of the day.
Right.
That's true. Yeah.
It's about love at the end of the day. And right now we have such an influx of just negativity, and just you can't even drive down the road without somebody just upset over meaningless things. And I think once again it's just this ton of information, and people are too wrapped up in that, and then they get negative because the media is fueling all of that. And then we forget, a person forgets about their prayer life. They forget about trying to get deeper into the reality of Christ. And then they forget about loving their common neighbor.
For sure. Yeah. I mean, you get overstimulated, you get distracted, and it pulls you away from what really matters. Sure.
Yeah, it really does. I like everything that you're saying. It makes sense. And it's things that we need to watch out for is the overstimulation, because it'll shut you down. And, it all comes down to the mind, what our mind is being affected by. And I always go back to that's why Jesus was crucified on Golgotha, the place of the skull, because our mind, we have to protect our minds. And, there's a battle. It's a psychological warfare operation that's going on right now for our minds. What do we believe? And I love what you say about the fruit. There's fruit with truth, and that fruit is love. There's fruit. That's a great litmus test for the truth. And that's really, does that mean that you're going to be perfect all the time in it? No, it's not. But there's going to be something different about the person who's walking in truth. When you step into a room, people are going to know that you're different. You treat people differently. It's going to be, basically a shift in the atmosphere when you come in and you're walking in truth, even though you might not be perfect. You might not even realize when you're walking in truth, the impact that you're having on people until many, many years later.
True.
And I'm sure some of you guys have had that, especially being on stage,
Right. It's just like we talked about earlier before the show. I mean, you plant the seed, you never know where that's going to take somebody down the road. You hope and pray that it gets watered and it grows and it's harvested. But yeah, that's part of the deal.
Yeah. That was an interesting conversation we were having before the show, because we were talking about it's impossible for us to convince anybody of the truth, especially now. That's something God has to do. And I was going back to when Simon Peter had the revelation that Jesus is the Christ at Caesarea Philippi. Jesus did not have to convince him of anything. God just opened up his eyes right there. It's a supernatural act. Man, we need more of that eye opening, the Spirit moving upon people to bring them to that revelation of Jesus being the Messiah and the only way. Let's go talk about the video for a minute, because my goodness, this video is of top quality. The song is awesome. When you were creating the content ideas for the video, when you were coming up with the concept for it, what was the primary thing that you wanted to portray in the video that you just can't portray in the song itself?
I think the development from that place of darkness and how that kind of evolves as you continue to seek the truth. And then at the end, I'm kind of walking toward the light. well, I was walking toward a light.
Oh, you got sucked in by the light.
Yeah, but I hit it a couple times. I'm not gonna lie. But yeah, so I think that was, the imagery that just that we want to portray to anyone who's interested in listening and viewing it.
Yeah, there is definitely a lot of imagery in there. And the first thing that my eye was drawn to, and I absolutely love this, is you looking into the mirror. What are you for our viewers and our listeners who, and I'd like to know, what is it that you're showing us by looking into the mirror throughout the video? What's going on there?
Okay. I mean, I could field this one just because it was I think a couple of our ideas, but the idea is
it was your idea.
All right. It was more like I always have an idea. Hey, is this crazy? No, it works. Let's do it.
It's perfect.
Yeah, perfect. So exactly. I'm probably the biggest self-doubter in the band, believe it or not. I just don't show it too often. But the idea is we're looking into a mirror after a moment. I'm going to use trauma. After a moment of trauma, what do? We go and we evaluate ourselves. So how do we do that? We look in the mirror. We check in the mirror. The thing is, what we see in the mirror is also what you see on the media. You don't see the whole picture. You see what's in that two-dimensional space. You don't see everything. You don't see behind. You don't see what's in your heart. You don't see what you've gone through. The idea is that's a distorted view of reality. And the more you look in that mirror, you notice at the same time, the wardrobe is, Olivia had a tattered, we'll say dirty dress on as well, for lack of a better term. It was, in pieces. And that was portraying that's an incomplete picture. That's incomplete self-portrayal of her. And as she moved towards the light, it was a whole white dress. As you walk towards the light, there's more wholeness as you walk towards the Almighty. So
I think one of the things that, sorry, Mark.
Go ahead, jump in.
I think one of the things that I wish that we could have captured more of in the video was actually of her dress.
Yeah.
Of the first dress, because we had talked a lot about how are we going to show the distinction from her kind of her realizing that what the truth really is. She gets a person gets down on themselves, a person is, afflicted by the devil, and we're looking and we're seeing all this dirt on us, but then how can we show everybody that the truth is God? And so the light part is easy, right? I mean, everyone kind of associates, white is oftentimes in the church associated with baptism, so impurity. And so in the very beginning, it was hey, let's get this off-color dress. We literally ordered it from Amazon.
And then ran over with a car, right?
Nothing wrong with saying that. Come on, that's what we did. We ordered from Amazon. Let's get a dress that kind of looks like medieval, what they would wear when they're working in something. So we found a cheap dress. Olivia kind of did some rips in it. I wish we would have captured more of the rips on the dress. Yeah. But I mean, that was no big deal.
It did start snowing, so I kind of wrapped up a little bit.
Yeah, that's right. It was.
We were just freezing to death.
Yeah, I want to talk about that when we move a little bit further into this. I'm just fascinated. I did not notice the dress piece. I was just so taken back by the mirror, and one of the reasons why that took me back is I'm going to go to some of these awesome features that I got here, and I want to bring this up here so that everybody can see it. And you should be able to see it. There we go right now. 1 Corinthians 13:12, one of my favorite verses of Scripture. For now we see through a glass darkly, but then face to face. Now I know in part, but then shall I know, even as also I am known. And I was looking at this again this morning because I've always seen this as, okay, the way that we see the Lord, it's not the complete picture from where we're at. It's like looking through a glass rather dimly, and eventually we will know the fullness of who he is. But when you take a look at this, and I did the deep dive into the Greek, the word glass is actually not completely 100% accurate, because mirrors back in that day were made of polished brass, not of glass.
Interesting.
Okay. And the only way that you could get a complete picture was to look at different angles. What you guys were just saying is you don't get the complete picture in the mirror.
Right.
The only way that you get the complete picture was to look at different angles. And this is what blew me away, because I've never seen the verse this way. God just opened something up brand new to me. He says, "But then shall I know, even as also I am known." So, yes, this verse is talking about the way that we see God, not completely now, but also when we look in the mirror, it's us looking in the mirror, and what we're seeing is ourselves, and we're not seeing our complete selves. And
Mhm.
because we are fallen, but our complete self, if we are walking or going to walk in completeness, we are the image bearers of God. And because of the fall
Mhm.
and because of the lies and because of the deception, because of the lies that people have bought into about themselves, basically Satan has been doing vandalism on the human race, trying
Mhm.
to erase the
Right.
image of God with all of the lies that are going on. I just sat back. I was just like, I've never seen it this way before. And it's your video
Uh,
that brought me to this
mm,
verse to look at it again, that it's not a glass, and looking through the glass, that I could do a whole nother edition on something like that.
mhm.
But my goodness, I mean, it's just
Yeah,
amazing. And one of the
that's
things that
awesome.
I noticed is either Olivia got some Windex and was wiping the mirror off as the video
Nope.
is going on because it started out cloudy. What was
Nope.
going on there with that?
It
No,
Well,
actually started to snow, like a
that was
pretty
legitimately
big
snow on there.
storm.
Yeah.
inside a dilapidated or derelict is the word we're supposed to use. Barn. We filmed inside a barn because
It
of
was a
some of
little
the things we
drafty.
wanted to
We'll put
do.
it that
Yeah,
way.
Oh, wow. Okay. Well, I mean, you are in Indiana.
yeah,
No, but
Yeah.
it was like Glenn, seriously, it was the worst way. I think that like evil forces were in
Well,
control of the weather
all right.
because it was the worst weekend.
right.
It was exceedingly windy,
Yeah,
and
So yeah.
it was out in a field in the middle of nowhere.
What's
And I
funny is
mean,
a week before we shot that, it was 50 degrees,
of course.
yeah,
and that day it was about half that. So
Wow.
we actually had
yeah, the rest
plastic
was real.
up to keep the wind,
Yeah.
and the wind was so like the main entry into the barn. We actually found an old door that was off the hinges and
They
put it in
just
front
popped it up
because
there.
that actually, yeah, that just like helped with the warmth. And then we had
Mhm.
those big, huge, like circular propane heaters. I brought one, and then we
Yeah,
had another one.
That
Yeah,
helped a lot.
And so
it did.
it
Oh
took
we
us
yeah.
eight
lost.
hours to
We
film
did
that
lose 2
video.
coats, though. That's okay.
Yeah.
That's
So we
true.
get too close. Yeah. So the coats, how they're kind of
Fatalities.
made with
Yeah.
some, not plastic or whatever, but as they get close to the flames, it would melt a little bit. Like Jason's wife lost part of her coat.
Oh, that
We
is
were like all huddled
absolutely.
around.
It's in the
Oh,
garbage now. It's gone. It's dead.
Yeah,
that sounds like a Army
Yeah.
field training exercise in the
Yeah.
cold.
It was brutal.
No, thank you. Hey, we got some comments coming in from our
Mhm.
viewers. We got Jeffrey. He says, "Thanks, William." Okay, we had that one. There we go. There's the next one. Glenn's comment. Okay, hopefully this is a good comment about my comment. Glenn's comment on the biblical era mirrors being made from brass. When they built the tabernacle, they used brass mirrors to melt to create the bronze
yep.
laver.
Yes, they did.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Oh.
Ooh, deep. Thank you, Jeffrey.
Very
That
cool.
is
Yes.
Very.
good to know. Rebecca says, side note, God gave us beautiful snow that came through the barn walls and
Yeah.
ceiling, landed on the mirror.
Yep.
Yeah, they did.
Because initially we
Wow.
were going to wipe off, maybe I think it was dust. Dust was in the equation. It
Right.
wasn't
Right.
showing anyways.
Something
So
like that.
Yeah.
snow did show, and it showed very well. So God
Boom.
provided, even though it was freezing.
Yeah, even though it was freezing and
But
you were absolutely miserable out there, because I'm watching the video, I'm like, wow, they got the cool, when they're singing, I can see the vapor
Yeah.
from their breath. I was like, whoa, what an effect. They must have really put some time into that.
Oh,
And I want to know if it was really, because I know
hey,
Indiana and it's
that was
cold out there.
It
And I
was.
think God, even though it was miserable, God gave you the perfect weather, because when there is no
good.
truth, okay, that's what you're dealing with. You're dealing with cold, harsh air.
Yep.
Mhm.
Exactly right.
There's a coldness.
Yep.
And
Cold
Rebecca is weighing in. Rebecca Hyde says, "R.I.P." my
dark.
friend."
That's
Yes.
my wife, by the way. That's my wife.
I told my
Yes.
wife, or I told somebody from, I think I told the everybody that like on one of the scenes I look like a dragon blowing out this head. And I think it's just because
Yes.
like I'm out of shape.
Yes. That
And
was
I'm
a
sitting
perfect
here
cap.
and my hands are literally frozen. And I'm trying to play the bass as fast as I possibly can because I'm a pure snob. I don't use a pick. And so I'm like Like, no. There's a place and time for things. But
Well, I
so
think it
I'm
was right.
sitting here and I'm playing. I'm just trying to go as fast as I can.
And every other
It was
take,
tough.
we were what, shotgunning massive amounts of coffee that was really hot. So
And
try,
soup.
try,
Hot
yeah,
soup.
and soup. Yeah, it was
Sure,
coffee and soup. So that added to the effect actually a little bit. So
for sure.
Yes.
excellent.
There you go. Very
Hey,
nice.
Richard is weighing
Hey,
in.
Richard, how's it going?
Hey, Truth
That's
is a
my
great
coworker.
song. Love the conversation tonight. Looking forward to more great music from Divine Martyr.
Awesome.
You guys
Thank
just keep getting
you.
better and better. And I'm not just saying that because I want to
Thank
be
you.
your roadie, but you are getting.
But you do, right?
Yeah, I do. Side note, I want to
You
be
want
the
to freeze with us?
Yes.
Come on down.
Yeah, total opposite extremes of temperature. I'm over here in South Carolina. Well, I do have to say
Ooh.
though, just before Christmas, it was 17 degrees in the morning when I woke
wow.
up.
Wow.
We had that cold snap that
Yeah,
came
pretty
through
hot.
here,
It's pretty rough.
which is rough. And when you're thin blood and not used to it,
Hmm.
That's right.
and yeah, it makes a big difference. I kind of enjoyed it because I grew up in Connecticut, so I
Okay.
remember that. It's like, oh wow, it really feels like Christmas because usually Christmas in South Carolina, it gets
Sick.
cold the days before Christmas. Then on Christmas Day, it's like 70 degrees and everybody's running around in shorts and flip flops. It's like it just ain't right.
That's a different vibe, man.
You are a transplant. I don't hear a twang. Like I'm surprised you're not calling everything Coke down. Can I have a Coke? Right? Isn't that true? Like if you order Pepsi, you say Coke.
Yeah. Well, y'all.
And then there's sweet tea, right? have
Sweet
sweet
tea
tea,
or
right?
unsweetened tea. Yeah. The first time I drank. All right. So when I got down here, I had never eaten grits before in my life.
Mm.
And I went to a
Yeah.
military college. And when I had my first grits, they were like, "You've never had these before?" Well, you know the way things go in military school. I ate so many grits. It's like, here, you need more grits.
And MREs.
And MREs, exactly.
Yeah.
And then,
Grit MREs.
then when I had my first tea, I found there was a pitcher of tea. This was actually in the chow hall where I was at school. I was like, oh, tea. Now, to me, tea in Connecticut was Nest tea. All right. It was the stuff that you makes. I was like, man, I could go some of that Nest tea right now. And I poured it and I slugged it down. I was like, what in the world? Because it had no sugar in it, no extra flavoring. It was just tea. And I was like,
That's rough.
culture shock. Yeah, it was rough, but it made me the person I am today. And
There you go,
everybody,
man. Fought through it.
That's right.
So that's how I drink
No,
my tea
that's
is
right.
just tea. So okay,
Yeah.
Look it up.
nothing wrong with that.
We should talk about tea.
We're
I
all
like tea. We should talk about tea. The whole band knows.
the whole
about it.
band. We're a bunch
behind
of, we'll say, tea fanatics. Is that?
Are
We
you?
love tea.
And there's
Smart
actually
guy.
there's actually a story by this, and I didn't catch it until afterwards because the expressions were amazing. So we played at a church, and Woody he got this special. Which type of tea was that? It was amazing, by the way. But it was different types of tea. So he's like, Mark, I want to share you some tea. So he brings these Ziploc bags full of tea leaves and hands them to me. Now we're setting up at a church, so the visual, it's almost a joke that we didn't mean to set up, and the expressions, I wish I had them on film. But I promise you they're tea, and we love tea. So
What you got there?
No, officer, it's cilantro.
yeah.
Right.
Yeah, let's with this video, the lighting in the room that you're in, it speaks volumes. There's a lot that I gained from the lighting, and there's a couple things I want to talk about with that. First of all, your use of candles. What are you showing us through the use of candles? And I know that we talked about this a little bit earlier today, but I want to go back to it because God's showing me something here. I really believe the strings of light bulbs in the room. How did those get there? Was that planned? And what do the candles represent?
The string of lights was actually already in the barn, but it worked because it worked with the same motif. But it kind of ties in with the same idea as the candles. And aside from a few of us being major, we'll say, geek fans of Phantom of the Opera, so we love candles. That's the aesthetic side, but that's not why we did it. So I'll push that aside. The reason that is basically, if we look at how the church is supposed to be, we're supposed to be reflecting the light of the Almighty. In some cases, we may be the only light within miles. And the idea actually was shown to me, I'm going to say shown to me, I like to go exploring caves, and I just take a tour. I'm not a splunker. It would be fun, but the ranger basically every time he goes in there, he says, I'm trained that I can get you out of the cave with just this, and he holds up a cigarette lighter, and he said, this gives enough light in darkness to lead everybody out. And to me, it's like, okay, God, what are you showing me? And that's exactly what it is now we have candles. There's actually I think it's Proverbs 6. I wrote it down. I jotted it down. Was it? There's actually a verse for that, Proverbs 6:23, where it says, if you have a commandment, that's like a candle. If you have the teachings of the Almighty, that's like light. But then they say later, the reproof of instruction is the way to life. A correction, it keeps you on the path. The idea is that you're walking with a candle. That's your light, and the candle is there to show a person the way. And that's the idea. Is we are. I don't want to say candles. We're not the source of the light. We reflect the light of the Almighty, because the Almighty is the one who defines the light. Mm-hmm. So what we do as candles, it's kind of like we are little pockets of light in the middle of deep darkness. And sometimes there's a lot of us together in a nice cluster where we can have a good presence. Sometimes we're a candle in the middle of darkness by ourselves, but at the same time we bear the light.
This is why I love Christian metal bands. This is why I love it, because everything is so well thought out. And I want to go back to the string of lights, because you said that they were already there, and it's just showing me that you were in the perfect location, because the string of lights actually spoke to me before the candles did. And what I saw when I saw the string of lights, I was like, that's how God lights my path. It's one little light bulb at a time. And boy, I sure do wish it was like a big, spotlight showing me exactly, go this way, dummy, go this way. But it's one light bulb, and there's a distance between each of the lights on the path in the darkness. And I was like, wow, because it just spoke to me. I was like, okay, wow, that's really cool. And the candles, they do the same thing. And with all that light, with what we were just talking about and being God's image bearers, that's what we're doing, is we are reflecting. That's what we were created to do. We were created to reflect Jesus. I love this.
Well, I think you bring up an interesting point, Glenn, about how you can. I was thinking about, I took my family to Mammoth Cave, which is like that in Merrimack in Missouri. I remember as a kid, my parents taking me every year to Merrimack because I had family in Missouri. And Mammoth, you're right. There's a point where it's so much darkness that any little bit of light is going to shine. If you listen to people who have had near-death experiences, what's interesting is that the darkness of hell is you can almost feel the darkness. They talk about how it's almost palatable. It's almost like it's like heavy.
It's oppressive.
So if you were to think about a small amount of light in hell, what that would light up, it kind of goes back to like what we're saying now. A little bit of light can light up a lot of darkness, and that's all I got.
Yeah,
but that's
no.
You know what I mean.
I know exactly what you're saying. And the Creator Good says He's loving the rich theology tonight, and that's why we're here. We're here to talk about Jesus. The music, the video, everything is a vehicle, and this is so well put together. This is a video and a song that has been done with excellence, and going back to that pathway of the light, one little light bulb at a time. And maybe some of you have been there, and maybe some of our viewers and listeners have been there, but I know I'm kind of been living this way the past several months, where you see so clearly where you need to go. You take that one step, and then it's like, okay, what do I do now? And it took me back to the steps of a righteous man are ordered of God. And it's steps, not leaps, not bounds, not races or anything like that. And I want to encourage somebody tonight that's watching or listening that you might be in the same place that we've all been in with following the light of the Lord. And you don't know, you're like, I want to see the whole picture now. He's not going to do that. And why do you think God does it that way? I want your guys' opinion on this. Why do you think God just lights it up one little light at a time?
No, it's the same principle. Like back with the Israelis in the I'm going to say in the desert when they were going around Sinai, for 40 years. They had 6 days to get food, to go gather manna, what was not there on the seventh day. And the idea of that, and that purpose was trust that God's going to provide for tomorrow. It's just like the parable of we're going to say the in Psalm 23, they say green pastures. In Israel, it's not green. Well, it's green, but there's little specks of green. There's just enough for today. You're not going to fill your you're not going to fill yourselves with everything you're going to need for the rest of your life. You're going to have enough food for just that one day. Then the shepherd's going to take you to the next spot that has food. You trust the shepherd, if you're the lamb and the sheep, to provide for each day by day. And the idea of worry is, I'm worrying about tomorrow's green pastures when I'm in this green pasture today. So why am I worrying about tomorrow's green pasture today?
Yeah, exactly.
And
Thank you.
I think that sheesh, we could talk forever about how we as a band have felt. Like, we've been doing this for 6 years, and it's I know me personally, I've struggled a lot with, like, all right, Lord, like, I'm not getting any younger. Like, we'd
Same.
like to do more than the shows that we're doing.
Yeah.
And you understand the fact that everything is in God's time, but you can't help but feel like where are we going to go, and I think, I know we're going to talk about some upcoming stuff, but that's kind of going to lead into that. I think now, especially this year, we're starting to see a lot of feedback, a lot more opportunities, I think, are already starting to come our way. And I think that's just it's God's timing. You can't force it. I mean,
No.
There's another factor that's involved in there, I believe, as well. And I'd like to encourage you with this. A lot of the beginning stages of a thing, God is just testing your obedience and your faithfulness.
mhm.
And then once you've proven you can be faithful with what He's given you, He will give you more. And I've experienced that over here on this end with what we've been doing here. I mean, my goodness, this started with a Tascam recorder on a card table, just recording audio. And now we've got this, and there's other doors and other opportunities that are opening up. But God has been testing your obedience. And it's just like Ruth, when she was out in the field gleaning, Boaz saw her faithfulness. And, not was she just gleaning anymore, but she eventually owned the field. So long as you guys keep your hand to the plow and don't look back and stay faithful to the one true and only God, who is Yahweh, He's going to increase based upon your faithfulness.
Amen.
And I really believe that for you, because my goodness, I mean, when I listen to you guys, because I'm a symphonic metal head, power metal head, I listen to Camelot, Epica, all that, I've been listening to that for years. I like what you're doing even more now than I like that.
Oh wow, thank you.
That's a huge compliment.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, we
because
think
what
the
you're
world of those guys too. So it's like,
because what
thank
you're
you.
doing is you're putting in there the truth of the word. Okay, you're putting in there, you're following the Spirit of God, and the quality of the music that you're putting out. You're not just you're not trying to be something. You are something. And Olivia, I have to say, your vocal control in that song, that is not an easy song, truth, to sing.
Thank you.
The vocal control is absolute. I feel like I'm on American Idol now. But
Okay, so I'll play Simon Cowell.
Oh, boy, here we go.
Well, it could have been improved by.
But now, and when I hear it, it changes the atmosphere. And you've probably seen this as well. And I don't want to get into this, but a lot of the power metal bands, a lot of the symphonic metal bands that I have loved for years, there's a demarcation going on right now with them. I'm seeing some of them go very far on the occultic side. I'm like, listen, I enjoyed the years and I'm praying for you,
Yep.
And then I see others, I'm like, whoa, and that's going on in the church right now. I think there's just a line being drawn in the sand everywhere right now. And I see that so clearly in symphonic metal and power metal. And however, I'm not discouraged, because I am praying for every one of them.
Absolutely, yeah.
They've got the giftings,
Exactly.
and God can use them. Let's talk about the silhouettes in the video. You added that in there as well. What are you showing us with the silhouettes?
was gonna say I could chime in, but
I feel like that was a Mark idea.
Okay, yeah, it was. It was actually a Mark and Brian idea. Brian actually had the idea to carry on with the mirror theme. Again, we're not seeing the image clearly, but now we've kind of have the silhouette voice of reason that's overshadowing. That sounds very dark, but it's not. But it's overshadowing in the background. You see the silhouette, and you see the musicians in front that are playing in front of it. And it's like we're carrying on the message, and it's more of like, I don't want to say you're carrying on a disembodied voice. Because that's where we just talked about symphonic metal bands going into the occultic side. I'm not saying that, but it's more of like the voice of, we'll say, voice of conviction, if you will, coming through, carrying over the band as it's basically, long story short, is how do you portray the invisible God, or the voice of the invisible God? And it's really, you can't, but what you can do is you can kind of show through the use of the silhouette and so forth, the voice is carrying through, the message is carrying through, that somebody is saying it, and it's not just an empty voice on the wind. So
kind of like the voice of wisdom that cries in the streets, the personification of the voice of wisdom.
Exactly.
Proverbs. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We didn't quite know how that was going to turn out.
Exactly.
I mean, it's kind of like, hey, let's try this, and it really it looked great. I mean,
right. That was kind of a big call on the shoot. I mean, that was toward the end of the night, and did some wardrobe changes and a couple of that it really came together, though. Yeah, I mean, Brian did a phenomenal job.
Yeah,
Brian is awesome.
Brian was our videographer. I don't know if we brought that up.
No, who did the video? Yeah,
Brian. Yeah, Brian did the video. Brian Foster of We Are Media LLC. Definitely will plug him, and it's phenomenal. He's a very gifted videographer. And I was watching his videos early on, and I said, this guy is phenomenal. And he was willing to work with us, and so it was like, that's blessings. The minute he said yes, it was blessings for us. So
I can imagine working on such a rich project with all the imagery in there and good music, and working with a group of musicians like yourselves, and the silhouette that you had in there. It looks cool, and it made me think. I was like, "What is that? What are they trying to show?" And I honestly didn't know what you were trying to portray through that. So, just everything that you put in there. This is thinking person's music, and that's something else that I really believe ties in with determining what truth is. We've all gotten into this thing of trying to tell people what to think instead of how to think, and I think that's a big problem that we have in society. And it's even a problem in the church. We're going to tell you what to think, but not how to think. How do you rightly divide the word of God? And that is so important to do that. How do you rightly divide or discern what somebody's telling you? There's certain ways to do that. How do you discern how do you think, going to a higher level of thinking? And I think that is lacking. And what your music is doing is it's causing and provoking people to go to that higher level of thinking. Oh, we just lost Olivia. She just
lost
dropped
in. I don't know what happened.
Oh no! Here we go.
I'm sorry.
That's okay.
All of a sudden, I was gone.
You're back.
Word.
Through the magic of technology.
Yeah.
So we are now officially in 2023. Welcome to 2023.
Absolutely.
What is in the works for Divine Martyr for this year?
Ooh, hopefully
fun stuff.
Yeah, I mean, we've got a handful of shows that are booked already. Some festivals and things that we played last year that we've been invited back to, and we've got, Mark, what was it, like 20 or 30 or more that we've submitted to.
Yep.
The big thing we have coming up here in February, we actually got an invite to, I don't know if you're familiar with Wacken, the big open air festival in Germany.
Oh yeah, I'm familiar with that.
Yeah, they have a global, it's essentially like a battle of the bands they do every year, where they have unsigned artists that compete in 20 or 30 different countries, and they kind of narrow that down to I think 5 or 6, and those bands actually get to travel to the festival in Germany, and they have like a final competition that they have there.
Okay. Let's stop right there. Just stop right there. If you guys go to Wacken, I am going with you as your roadie, as we were talking about.
Sure.
Perfect.
Yes.
Yeah.
No
yeah, that's a
question
really cool
there. That's
opportunity.
happening.
I mean, the first round is next month, and there are multiple rounds, obviously, before you get to that point. But it's just really exciting to be invited to something like that and to be able to take part. And God willing, we'll move forward. But it's completely in His hands. We go out and do the thing, and it's up to Him where it goes. But it's very exciting, very humbling to be invited at all. So we're pretty excited about that.
You'll be taking the light of the Lord and the gospel there with you. If you go.
That is the plan.
And I pray that right now in Jesus' name that you guys make it to Vakken. That would be so awesome. Yes, and I'll start saving my money. And yeah, Shonda says that is awesome.
I mean, it'd be a huge win for the Lord when you think of ministry, because I mean, Vakken probably does what, Jason, 50 to 100,000 people.
80,000 on average is the attendance. 80, so I mean,
it's pretty much the largest open air festival in the world yearly. It's probably pretty close.
Yeah,
and we're talking about every major band. We're talking about Iron Maiden being there. We're talking about all the big secular bands. So for us to even be recognized, Nightwish, they're not going to be there this year, but I mean, for us to be recognized even, and it's an honor,
that is,
to be given that opportunity.
That is so exciting, man. I just really pray that for you guys, that you can go and imagine what God could do with all of those people there and what could happen.
Amen.
Yeah.
Lots of opportunity for sure.
Definitely a lot of opportunity there at Vakken. That is going to be so cool. So you got some local shows coming up too in Indiana as well?
A couple of festivals. Yeah. I think one in like the very early March down in southern Indiana near Louisville. And then another one in like late June, maybe early July. It's a benefit festival that we played for like first responders and such last year, and we got an invite back this year. So definitely excited. And then we've got some, like I said, a lot of other stuff in Indiana and just kind of regionally that we've submitted for, and we just kind of hope and pray, and we'll see which doors open.
Exactly. Yeah.
One at a time. So
awesome. That is so good. Hey, do you guys remember, I think it was 3 or 4 years ago at Vakken, the two guys that escaped from the nursing home to go to Vakken? There was a big
I do
news
remember
article.
that.
I don't think I heard that.
Yes, I do.
That's amazing.
That was awesome.
It is.
That was awesome.
I support that.
That's going to be me. That'd be me after I get my NCIS marathon on. I'm going to go escape and go to Vakken.
Yes,
exactly. Yeah.
After you hang out with us and we make you carry all of our
exactly.
Blowing up in a wheelchair up to the barrier.
Carries our wheelchair, right?
Sean is weighing in. She says yes. Sean, you heard that story too. That made major news outlets that the two elderly guys escaped from the nursing home to go to Vakken open air. That is awesome. Do you have anything else that you want to share with everybody that's watching and listening this evening before we close out?
Anything, guys?
I was gonna say, we could talk forever, but
we're hoping for a full length record this year. I guess that's kind of outside of shows and all the other stuff here. Just studio wise, we're hoping to be able to put a full length together this year and release that. So, again, God willing, in His timing and His manner, it'll happen when it's meant to happen. So
exactly. Sure.
Absolutely. Well, may God continue to bless you guys. May that door at Vakken open up, and may further doors open up. And
appreciate it.
Awesome if you could open for Nightwish or Camelot sometime. That'd be really cool too.
Absolutely.
That'd be really neat. If you guys just can hold on real quick, I'm going to go ahead and close everything out for this evening and get everybody ready for next week. And thank you for joining us this week on Raven's Heart. We've had Divine Martyr, and next week we're going to be back here focusing on Charleston, South Carolina. That's right, 8 p.m. next Thursday. We've got Ziggy. He's going to be at Get Revelation Rock Fest on May 13th, and don't forget to get those tickets on the. Got another comment that just came in. I'm going to bring that up in just a second and bring everybody back on. But Get your tickets. Link is in the description on Facebook Live and on YouTube Live. And now I'm going to get my ugly mug off the screen here and get everybody back on. Let me go back here to the layout. Yeah, there we go. You can tell it's good. There we are. There it is. Excellent. And Jeffrey says, this is the first time I've watched Lithos Cry. The program has a new fan. Glenn, great job interviewing. Thank you for your ministry. Thank you, Jeffrey. Thank you. And it's people like you that keep encouraging us to do this over here. And, you know, I'm here to serve Jesus, first of all, serve the bands, and serve those that are watching and viewing so that they can understand the truth of the gospel. And that's what this all boils down to. And we've been blessed with such a band as Divine Martyr, who is true to the gospel and true to the true Jesus, not Jesus Melendez, but the real Jesus. All right, everybody. Until next week, go ahead and peace out and rock on.
Thanks for having us.
lithoscry.com